So you decided to jump into recessive projects and you're being sold a possible head just off the markers. But can heads actually show themselves through markers?
Every single day, I'm gonna make something great. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. This game ain't none of this game ain't none. On my way to the top, I love this money. Just set it on fire, Don't mean nothing, here's one for the night. Don't waste my time,
Hey YouTube, Ron here with BBM Reptiles. Thank you again for taking the time for stopping by my channel. And if you're new, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and follow me along in this incredible journey of reptile keeping, specifically working with ball pythons. First off, I want to give a huge and tremendous shout out to Grab Your Balls. It's so cool because he actually sent me a few stickers and I got this cool swag from him. And it's awesome. It's awesome. And the reason I believe he sent it is because since I do actually blush when I say the name, because the name is kind of cool, but I guess I'm a little PG, a little bit, I guess I'm still in that Mr. Roger eras. So I kind of blush when I say it, but you know what? I got to say it with pride. Grab Your Balls. Check him out on Instagram. He's a great guy. Thank you very much for the swag and cool heart on the sleeve. That's how great the guy is. Anyway guys, going back on with the recessives and the heads. I had this question because during my seasons, I've actually held back a lot of heads and possible heads. And with those genes, I've actually been able to compare one from the other. And I want to show you more or less what I've noticed on them, just to show you what some snakes they say do have possible markers. And some snakes that are from that visual female that are supposed to be 100% heads, which they should be, but don't have those same traits of markers. And also we're going to look at some snakes that has a different recessive combo within it, but because it expresses itself so much, it actually alters the color and the pattern of the mutation. So let's have a look at some of those crazy heads that I have on my holdbacks. Okay, now first off, the example that I want to use is clown, and the male that I use for pairing for the examples I was going to show is a leopard, which was 100% het for clown, and I bred that leopard to an ivory. So basically everything is going to be ivory, I mean yellow belly off the bat. But the possibility is that because the leopard was 100% het clown, everything that actually comes from that pairing is going to be 50% het. So just to show you that that leopard was in fact 100% het clown, this is an offspring. This is an offspring from that male that produced this leopard clown. So I just want to go off the bat, starting out that the first example we're going to talk about is the het clown. So right here we have my leopard clown. Okay, now right here we have a yellow belly. A yellow belly. This yellow belly, like I said, was from the pairing, which was the leopard 100% het clown to an ivory. Now, because the leopard was 100% het, it would mean that everything in the clutch would be 50% het for clown. So what I chose to do is I held back the whole clutch. Now it was a clutch of 11 eggs. So typically, if it's a 50% chance that they are going to prove out clown, having more eggs or more hatchlings to my as holdbacks, it's going to better those options. So instead of saying 50, I can easily say it's going to put me in the 100% range, because eventually at least half of those clutch will prove out to be clown. So right here, I just want to show you what the difference I've noticed, because I've kept everything back. The comparison that you can actually see within colors and the brightness, or even sometimes a pattern of a simple morph and what a head can actually express in it. And I know that nothing can actually prove out the head by visually looking at it. It has to be proven out. But because I had the benefit of holding everything back, I have noticed that there are variations of how the head is expressing itself. Even if it's 50%, or eventually when it proves down, it'll actually prove out to be 100% head. But out of this out of this yellow belly right here, I'm going to show you another one next to it, which is a clutch mate of that. And you'll probably notice some subtle difference, and I hope the camera and the snake actually can help out with it. Okay. Now, those are clutch mates. Those are basically, they're both yellow bellies. But if you notice one from the other, one is lighter and the other one is a lot more darker. Now, does that mean that guarantees that it is 100% het? I can't say that. But like I said, I have noticed that basically there is a variation within the colors of the possible hets. Like I said, this one, which is a lot more brighter, versus this one, which is a lot more darker. And I know most will say, well, you know, there's always variations within any normal or any ball python, even with the same mutation. There's always going to be that variance. And please, can you be like your sister here and just stay still? You know, she's chilling, but this one is a little bit more active. But just this one alone compared, and I'm sorry the lighting is not helping because actually the shadow of my arm, it's more darker. It actually is more darker. Now, I'm going to pull out another clutch mate just to also give you an idea of what I'm talking about, what I've noticed within the variance of the colors. Okay, and here we have another yellow belly. Same clutch mate. And as you can also see, this one also has a darker coloration. Now, there's not the issue about the yellow belly because this came from ivory. So everything from the clutch is going to be a yellow belly. There's an ivory does not have the possibility of actually producing normals, so it's only going to be yellow bellies. And because I actually did produce leopards. I'm going to show you that in a second. But what I wanted to actually point out was the difference in the colors. And let's see if I can actually unfocus this a little bit more. It's not helping too much. But if you compare, let's see if we can compare this one side by side. If you can compare this one also, it has that darker color, a rich darker color, versus this one, which is a lot more lighter. And let's see, this one's actually getting out the way. I'm going to put this one back because I want to leave it as an example. And I'm sorry, this is not working the best way that I planned to, but what I wanted to actually show is how a head can actually express one way or another within a color or even the brightness of a snake. And you can see that there is a variance of how they express itself. Now let me show you another clutch mate. I'm leaving that one there. I'm leaving this one here because that's the one that's staying actually more still. These are all clutch mates. Like I said, I stood with the whole clutch. And he's pushing the other one aside. Why are you doing that? Why would you do that? Now here's another one. Here's another one, and I'm not too sure if you can notice it too much. Well, let me get this one out because this one's like does not want to cooperate. But here we have another example of the same clutch mate, which also expresses itself in the way that its colors is a lot more richer. It's definitely a lot more deeper and richer. Like I said, that does not necessarily tell me that it is 100% het just because of that variation, but because I held back so many of these, it gives me something to compare to. Now, off the bat, let's say if I only had one snake that was possible het, I could not tell because I wouldn't have anything besides it to compare it to say, wow, look, I found something that actually expresses itself, and I can see that it's a het. It doesn't really work that way. You're going to have to prove it out. But what I am saying is that basically within these morphs, because I've held back so many of them, I've actually noticed there is a variance. Some are brighter, the patterns are even more expressive, and the richness of the darkness of the yellow belly, it expresses it a lot more more richer than the other one is. And like I said, they're all clutch mates. They're all clutch mates. As a matter of fact, if I put this one back now that I'm seeing that it's staying a little bit still, it's still lighter than what this one is. This one is a lot more darker. This one is lighter. And going back to this one also looks to be a little bit different in color than the other one is. So these alone, and I know this is a little bit complicated actually getting all these together, but these are things that I've actually noticed, and I'm talking about holdbacks and how expressive each one are different from the other one. And who knows if in fact it is because the effect of what the head is. So even though they're all 50% head, you can see that the heads is actually making some type of expression, I would say, towards the color versus something else that can actually, maybe when I do prove them all out, because as a matter of fact, they're all females. All these snakes are females, and that's the reason why I stood with all of them, because I wanted to prove out the clown in these yellow bellies, because obviously a yellow belly clown would be amazing, and the mere fact of actually just proving them out as clowns is the goal to this. Now I'm gonna go another step, and I'm gonna show you the same clutch mates, but these has leopards, and I want you to notice the difference on that one also. Here we have a leopard yellow belly, same clutch mate. Now this one, again, it's a brother from that, the clutches. They're all, like I said, there's 11 eggs. I stood with all of them. Now this is just a leopard yellow belly. Again, it's 50% head for clown. Now, is there anything identifying on it that can tell me specifically that it is head for clown 100%? No, like I said, there's nothing that's going to tell me. But what I've noticed when I compare them to other leopard yellow bellies that are also from the same clutch, you can actually see a difference. Now, unfortunately, you know how it is when you pull out a snake and you want to show it, it's always in shed, and that kind of messes up the display on that one. But I know this is dark, but I just want to show you this one. This one's in deep shed. This one's in deep shed, and I know it's not a fair comparison, but what I wanted to point out is that she is extremely darker than what this leopard yellow belly is. And could that be the effect? And I'm not talking about because it's in shed. I'm just trying to say that could the effect on this one, or the influence of it being head for clown, or the possibility that it actually is influencing in a way that's colors versus the other one. Now, like I said, this one isn't shed, so it's not a fair comparison. But like I said, I do have more. So I have one that actually is not in shed, and this one I can actually even show it even better. Now again, you got that guy in the background, and we got this female right here. Now, she is darker. She is way darker than what the other leopard on the back is. And like I said, they're clutch mates. They're not one different than the other. They're clutch mates. They're 50% head for clown. But if you notice, the pattern on the one on the right is a lot more crazier, and it's a lot more richer and darker. And it's the same one as the other leopard yellow belly that I showed, but she's in deep shed. But comparing it basically to this one, there is an influence. There is actually an influence. But like I said, the only way I can see that is holding them back. And because I had them all as holdbacks, I can actually see the comparison of one from the other. And look at them side by side. And this one's actually going a little bit wild here. See if I could get them back in here without actually being too dark. But if you could compare them two, you can see there actually is a difference. Like I said, it's not going to tell me definitively that they are hets because of the variation of the color, but because I held so many of them back, I have noticed that there is this distinction between one or the other. So all of them being 50% het, and because I do have more basically to actually play with, I know for a fact that it's gonna prove out one of them. Which one it is, that's the theory that I'm gonna get to work with, and I can actually compare with my notes from what I have noticed. Why are you making this so complicated for me? From what I have noticed from the colors. Basically, I have them jotted down by the clutch number, so I know, or actually the ID number for each individual snake, so I can have an idea which one is which. So if this one proves out, then I know, then you know what, it was in fact the color that showed me or expressed how a het can actually demonstrate itself inside a mutation. So they're both clutch mates. They're both from the same mother and father. So it's not like I'm throwing a second female that hatched out these snakes. They actually both came from the same dame and the same sire. This is the male and this is the female. And like I said, I wish the other female that I had was not in shed, because it's even richer darker than this one is. It's a lot more rich darker than this one is right here. So that's the example I'm showing so far of how I notice how hets do express themselves in one way or another in a snake via their pattern or their color. Now this is one example. Now I was only talking about het clowns. Now let's go ahead and look at another het that I have that's also het for clown, and see if you notice something also like I did. This is from a leopard het clown. Again, the leopard het clown, I bred it to a pastel piebald. Now the piebald was the female, so she's visual. So everything is going to be 100% het for pied. And again, a 50% het for clown. Now this might throw you off a little bit because this is a possible double het. But there's something that I wanted to actually point out. You know, when basically they're talking about pieds, they have those pied markers. And what are pied markers? I mean, like, there's different opinions of what pied markers are, but I'm going to just basically give you my idea of what I considered. And even with that, I really don't go by markers to say that pied markers. But usually towards the end, you're going to see this. The train track, and obviously it's going to fade up, what they would call a ringer. And you'll see that on pied markers. Besides also, obviously, the infamous train tracks and the breakage right there. You usually will see that when you have a het pied. And as a matter of fact, out of all recessive genes, that's the go-to when they actually compare hets for the pieds. They go by that ringer. And if you look at the break in the train tracks, it's going to have it. But this is the thing. Remember, she came from a visual pied, so there's not a doubt if she has the het of the pied. But the father, since it was 100% het for clown, that makes this female 50% het for clown. So how can I actually tell that? Because I know it already has a recessive in there, and recessive does interact very well with mutations, and specifically in their colors or their patterns. But I'm going to show you different ones that doesn't have the ringers. So maybe that's the second influence of the clown, besides the pied, is avoiding to express that first ringer. Now, give me 1 second. It's hard to keep this in focus, but let me get this one. Let me leave that one there while I go through another one. Remember, these are all clutch mates. Okay. This is the second female. Let me put this one back. Okay, this is the clutch mate. And I just want to show you, basically, she doesn't have that ringer. She doesn't have that ringer. And there goes the rooster. She doesn't have that ringer, even though she does have the train tracks, but it's not pronounced, because I could show you other snakes that also has these patterns, and they have nothing at all to say or in their genes to be het for pied. But this came from a visual pied female. But like I said, since it's because it does have the 50% chance of it being also clown, because it came from a proven 100% het clown, it could be the influence of that's basically masking the ringer of the first one, which is from the pied. Let's see if I can actually work with this a little bit better. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to use this white box, and the lighting on the sides actually helped me out to see if we could get a closer look of most of the things on the snakes, and she is fighting the heck out of me. Okay, let's see if we can see a better view on that one. Okay, this is this female. Remember, this is the clutch mate. So could it be that the head from the clown is affecting the pattern on this, that it's masking the head from the obvious pied? Maybe, maybe not. Like I said, it's like something that has to be proven, but I do know for a fact that she's 100% het pied because she came from a female. Now let me show you another one. Top these girls up before they go out. Okay, here we have another clutch mate. This is another pastel. 100% het for pied, 50% het for clown, and I'm going to show you her ringer. See, she's more cooperative at least. See that breakage? See that ringer? Seeing how the train track is actually separating itself? Right there, it's showing obviously the pattern of the pied. Now, don't get this confused with the first one that I showed over here, which is a clutch mate. Remember the first one that I showed you with the awesome ringer? I'm like, it's there, but like I said before, I know they're 100% het for pied because they came from a visual pied, but what I don't know is if the effect of it also being possible het for clown, it's influencing its pattern and it's actually expressing it in a different way. So we have a beautiful marker right there of the head of pied. Now let's go with the next one. Now this one is basically a normal. This is a normal. Usually you can see ringers even more quicker on normals than you can see on other ones that they say. Normals and pastels, you'll see them a lot more easier. But right here we have a normal. And I just want to show you the train tracks on her. But nothing different. That would tell you basically that it does have het for pied. Now if you're going by this, and this breakage to say, well, obviously that is a het. I have a normal that's het for orange ghost, 100% het for orange ghost, and I also did the same thing with 50% het for clowns, and it has the exact same marking. It has the exact same marking. As a matter of fact, let's see if it's, because I got so many of them, my goodness. There goes the rooster. There goes the rooster. Trademarks. And I got more of them actually with the trademark, with the train marks. And what I mean trademarks is they're right here on the side. And if we go by ringers, heck, I got snakes here that has ringers that has nothing to do with het for pied. But then again, like I said, it's double het, or it's possible double hets. It's guaranteed het for pied, and it's the 50% het for clown that basically is working out. But because I decided to stay with the whole clutch, that's giving me better odds of at least, and I'm going very minimum, one of them will prove out to be clown, and there's 7 of them. Well, the other 2 are in shed, and I hate that when I'm trying to actually show some more snakes, but the other ones are in shed. But I'm going to show you one other one here. And out of the clutch, I guess this is my favorite one. And let's get this one back. That one right there is a pastel leopard. Obviously, you know, it's the clutch mate, so it's 100% het for pied, and it's also 50% het for clown. Now, I've heard this being thrown around a lot when they talk about the tip of the tail. That actually tells you, if the tip of the tail is white, that's an idea that tells you that it's a sign that it could be het for clown. I really don't feel it. I honestly, I haven't experienced it to say that, because my past pairings, I produced my clowns from visual female clowns. I've never actually, even with that leopard head clown male that I had, I don't have it anymore in my collection, so I can actually go back and look at it. But this one does have the tip of the tip of the tail white, like a lot of people are saying, but I'm not going by that. I really can't go by that to say that basically that, let's see if that is an indicator, but not going with that basically, but just wanted to go. And I know it's unfair because leopard on its own, it does kind of throw off that ringer to make it think it's head pied, even if it doesn't have anything in it. But let's see if I can actually move this one around to show its tail. Yeah, there goes the train tracks on that one. But then again, like I said, it's unfair because all leopards, basically, they have it like that. But even with that, it doesn't have that clear ringer that sometimes you would see, and even if it's a breakage. So I can't even go by that. That's why when a lot of people, they talk about head markers on pieds, for me, unless it's proven, I really don't rely on that. But I do know for a fact that there are mutations that will express themselves because there are heads, being it brighter or they'll change the pattern, but they have been known. Now to prove it out, you actually have to raise out that snake and see if in fact it does prove out, and then you can use that as records, and you're gonna have to be working with that year after year to see if that's a good way for yourself to know within your pairings if you have a possible head just by the coloration or the pattern or the brightness of the snake. Now let me just show you one last snake that is not even het for anything, but when I'm talking about ringers, so you can have an idea what I was talking about. And leave him there for a while I look for her. Oh my goodness, where are you? Okay, lastly, this right here is a banana fire calico. I think that's it, banana fire calico. I can't imagine if it has anything else. But if you notice, it has that real cool ringer. It has that ringer on there. And obviously because it's banana, it's not going to have anything on the bottom of it because it's going to be white. But usually when someone actually see a ringer on a snake and they say, hey, that's head for pie, that's definitely a sign right there for head for pie. But this pairing had nothing at all. Nothing at all, and it's been proven. The male's been proven so many times. As a matter of fact, this is the great-grandchild of the original banana. And I even paired him to pieds, and I didn't get any pieds from that. So it's just a cool ringer. So in all this, off the bat, it's basically impossible to judge a head just by its appearance, because that's one of the reasons why they say you really have to prove them out. Now the only way you guarantee you're going to get that 100% heads, I always say, is get it from a female. Even if a male is visual, I personally am reluctant, and I like to go through my females when I'm buying my heads, or make them yourself. There's no better person to trust than your own self, and you got to start making a name for yourself. Anyway, again, thank you very much for taking the time for stopping by my channel. Again, if you're new, go ahead, hit that subscribe, and also hit that bell and follow me along, because it's all good, and this is the greatest part of the hobby, is sharing the love and also sharing the contents. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.